Welcome to Into It with the Intuitive. I'm your host, Julie Bachos. Are you ready to get into it? Let's get started. Hello, friends. I'm so glad you could join me today. We are going to be talking about signs and how the universe talks to us through various signs, how to identify those signs, and ways that you can tap into being more aware of what those signs are. So let's get started. One of the biggest ways that you can begin tapping into and identifying the signs that the universe is putting out for you is to simply be aware. I know it sounds super easy, right? But if we start looking at those things that we might call coincidences, or some of those things that just seem to keep happening over and over again, that is a good cue to you that the universe is trying to get your attention by giving you a sign. So what do these signs look like? These can come in a lot of different ways. For me, one of the most common ways that I get signs from the universe is either through repetition of numbers. So maybe I'll look at the clock and it'll be 4:44, or I will see 4:44 on my mileage. Just a repetitive number over and over again. Normally, if I see it twice, I know they're trying to get my attention. If I see it more than twice, it's like they're yelling at me to go and look up what that number sequence actually means. In numerology, each number has a specific meaning. So it's important that when you're seeing those numbers that you actually go and kind of take the time to look up and see what those messages mean for you. If you're not familiar with numerology, that's something that we'll talk about in a later episode. Another way the universe really likes to communicate with me is by showing me hearts. And this probably has been going on for about the last 10 years. I started to document every time it happened by taking a picture of the different ways that these hearts would come through. It could be in a shell that I found on the beach. It could be in a stone that I found while hiking. I've seen it in water droplets on pavements, in the foam on my coffee. I even saw it in the bottom of a Whataburger bun. Now, I'm not kidding. I do have pictures to prove this. But hearts are definitely a way that the universe, or the divine, depending on what you prefer to call it, tries to communicate with me and just let me know that I'm loved, cared for, and as always, being guided in the right direction. One of my favorite heart stories to date had to do when we moved to Northern Virginia from Michigan in 2018. And in our new home, there was a space for me to have my own office. And one of the reasons why I love this space is because of the abundance of windows and my great nature views. And I remember one day I was sitting at my desk and just really feeling discouraged. I don't know if you've ever had to move before, but moving a family of 6 cross country takes a lot out of you. And I had lived in Michigan my entire life, so I was feeling a little down. And I looked out my window at the tree, and actually there was 3 at the time, 3 trees right outside my window. And I realized that every single one of those trees' leaves were shaped like hearts. And for me, it was just confirmation that we were in the right place, that we had purchased the right house, because that was something that was a very difficult decision for us. And it just really gave me the assurance and peace that I needed through that one sign. Some other ways that I have received signs are through other people, through billboards, songs, dreams, my daily horoscope, nature in general, and of course, animals. Some sign meanings will be incredibly obvious. Others may require you to do a little bit more digging for you to be able to understand what the message is that's trying to get across to you. One thing's for sure, if we miss one message, the universe is very persistent about bringing that same message back to us until we fully understand it. Which is great because one of the questions I get asked quite a bit is, what happens if I miss the signs? The good news is you can't, at least not if you're looking. You can also ask the universe to give you signs or ask for answers to specific questions and request that you are given a sign to guide you along the correct path. I like to use my oracle decks, tarot, my pendulum, and my basic intuition when I feel like I'm unsure of direction or I have a big decision to make. I remember when I first started working with signs, one of the things that I was concerned about was misinterpreting the sign or getting the sign wrong. And like I said before, the signs keep coming until we actually get them right. I like to kind of think of that as your GPS. So when you're driving and you miss a turn, your GPS says recalculating. And that's pretty much what the universe does when we miss something or get off course. They help direct us back onto the path that we were meant to journey. When we aren't utilizing the universe's signs and our own intuition, it's a lot like trying to drive in Northern Virginia without using your GPS. Using my GPS was one of the first things that I realized I had to do when we moved to this area. Not only because there weren't just 2-lane highways like I was used to, but 8-lane highways. And traffic like I have never experienced. For some reason this day I didn't. Maybe it was because I knew I was only going 10 miles away, or that it was in the middle of the day on a Tuesday. Either way, I get on the expressway and bam, traffic. Traffic stopped because all lanes of the expressway are closed. My quick 15-minute trip now turned into an hour. When we choose not to utilize the signs and our own intuition, our life and our growth can also come to a complete standstill. It can take us longer to achieve the things that we've actually come here to achieve. Personally, I prefer to avoid total shutdowns. Think of your intuition as that inner GPS guiding you along the right way. When we don't tap into our own intuition or recognize the signs that the universe is giving us, sometimes we have to stop and ask for directions. And asking for directions isn't a bad thing. You just don't want to become dependent on someone else to always tell you which way to go. That's why I'm so passionate about teaching others how to tap into their own intuition. I'm a firm believer that we all have intuitive gifts and intuition. It's just that we haven't been taught how to utilize them. So to recap, the best way to identify signs is to become aware and look for them. Signs are all around you, and you can ask for signs and expect them to come to you. We all need to learn how to identify and interpret signs and also how to tap into our intuition. Just like anything else, the more you practice it, the easier it gets. So let's practice. Think of a situation or a question that you have that you would like more direction on. Try to be as specific as possible. Once you have that question or situation that you would like guidance on in your head, I want you to find the book that is closest to you and open it up to page 67 and read the second paragraph. If you don't have a book close to you, try and find the first one you see to use for this activity. If it doesn't make sense, ask for additional insight. The universe is never offended if you ask for further clarification. And then flip to a different page, one that you feel called to, and see where your eyes land on the page. This is one of my favorite activities to do. I use my intuition to pick out a specific book off of my bookshelf, and then I let the universe guide me to the page that I need to read for the day. It's like my own mini guidance session. Plus, it's kind of fun. It's that excited anticipation you get, like when you're opening a present. If you're trying to tap into and develop your psychic and mediumship ability, you can go a little bit farther with this activity. You can think of a specific person and get a word for them for your psychic development, or you can think of someone who has passed that you would like to connect with and ask for a message specifically from that person. These are 2 additional ways that you can advance and grow those spiritual gifts. Thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new content. I hope to see you back soon.